10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Happy New Year, Happy New Year. This is done just for you, my friends. Cause you're nice and you're supporting me so great and so straight.
Bonsoir mes amis, or good evening my friends, or even good morning my friends, because depending on the moment in which you are watching this video, maybe you are already in the new year, right? Now, animated fireworks in PowerPoint. I know what you're thinking, but stop. You're thinking, hey, it's nice, but it's only appropriate for the night between the years, but for the rest of the time will be useless, right? Completely wrong. And you know why? Because we are here at Modern Education for the Best, where the creativity comes first. Yes. Now, let me ask you something. If you are a teacher, have you ever considered to use this type of animation and instead of the heart, putting your best student's name when you are revealing their performances? Oh man, if I would have had such a professor a long time ago when I was a student, would have been great, but unfortunately I haven't had that chance. But now please tell me, if you are a teacher, you will ever consider to do these for your students to motivate them better, to learn better? Please write me in the comments if you will ever think to do this. Alright, now if you are a business person, what you can do? You can do the same thing for your best employees to motivate them even more. Or at a business meeting, if you have very good sales, if you have very nice numbers, then you can put this animation to highlight your best sales and you will amaze your shareholders. But now, alright, enough with the talk, because we have a lot of work to do to show you how you can create these amazing fireworks. Are you sleeping? Okay, you're not sleeping. Then you ready? Cause we're starting.
So we are again in a blank PowerPoint, and step 0 would be to identify the perfect background picture. To do so, we're gonna look for stars, and the right image for our case is this one. But we won't keep it like this because it's going to interfere with our work, and we're gonna make it as background image. To do so, first we're gonna crop it to 16:9. After that, we'll put it perfectly in the slide and then cut, and from the format background we're gonna select the picture or texture fill, and now we have our perfect background picture. Step number 1 involves the creation of the dial for our counter. So that's why we're gonna create a circle, and the most problematical aspect is to right position the marks of the dial. So that's why I'm going to show you an example, while for the others I'm going to fast forward the time because I don't want to consume your time with these. So we have positioned both of them, then align center, and we have it. Let's make it 0 by 0.4 inches, and then you can easily find turning it, and the same will go here for the bottom part, and now they are perfectly aligned, and we have created 2 out of the 12. For the other 10, we're gonna rotate it from 30 to 30 degrees, and we're gonna apply the same technique. So let's go. Alright, so now we have our dial. Job done. Step number 2 is to create the digital counter. So to do so, we're going to insert an ordinary rectangle. As the dimensions, you don't have to worry too much about them. More or less a 0.6 with 4 or 4.2, it's more than enough. 4.2 being just a little bit more than our dial diameter. And now we're going to insert the numbers here. We're going to start with 10 and then the others. For the moment, you don't have to worry about the fill of this rectangle, because later on we're going to make it the same as our background fill. So that's not a problem. The only thing is to properly arrange these. That's great. And now let's select all of them and put a 22 as size. And we have our digital counter. So that was the step number 2. Step number 3 involves creating a hole into the dial. So that's why if something goes wrong, I always recommend to create a duplicate of the slide, so you can always return to the initial dial if your hole is not positioned in the right location. Okay, we've done the duplicate. Now let's create the hole. So first of all, let's align for the moment these. Great. And since this is the middle, I would like more or less around here to have the hole. So that's why I'm gonna insert another shape, and more or less this is the place for me to put the hole. That's great. I'm gonna remove these for the moment. To be able to create a hole, I will have first of all to ungroup for the moment our dial, then select the dial, select our shape, and then subtract, and that's perfectly, we have our hole. Step number 4, let's style the dial. So let's select it and go to the effects. Then from the 3D format, let's put a top bevel, and this is a divot, and now it's perfect. Now the last thing is to add a gradient fill, and this is my proposition for you with these two color, meaning a dark blue and turquoise. You can change a little bit where you want the angle. In my case, I want the angle to be with the darker value to be more or less here at the bottom, something like this, around 140 degrees. Great, we have now the style of the dial, and let's insert the text with Happy New Year. Of course, let's create an appropriate size. So let's put a 26, and let's put also the appropriate color, which would be good, a yellow, and let's position it here, and this is perfect. Step number 5 is about creating the arrow for the dial. And you might think why I've included this step, since it's very ordinary to insert an arrow and position it like this. So why should I create a special step for these? Well, take a look, because it's not so simple as it might looks in the original situation. After you will position the arrow here, okay, and let's put a red color. We will want to apply the animation, and logically you want to spin it, but take a look what's going on when we want to spin it. This is happening. So that's why I've included this step, because we have to do an additional setup here to make sure that this arrow is actually going to spin accordingly with the dial and not in that situation. For the moment, the gravity center, let's call it this way, of this arrow is more or less here at the half of its height. And we want to change the gravitational point and to put it here, meaning the half of the diameter, the center of the dial. So to do so, we're gonna take this arrow and put it like this, and we have created now a dimension equals with the diameter of the dial. But logically you don't want these to be visible, so that's why we're gonna make it invisible. Let me erase these. So we will make it invisible. So to do so, it's no outline and no fill. And now is being selected, click and select these, and we will group. Once we have grouped it, the animation is gone. We already know that. But now let's apply again the animation and take a look now. The spin is accordingly to our wishes. Perfect. Now let's create the animations, and since it's almost midnight and we want a final countdown from the last 10 seconds of the year until the new year, we want to position this arrow here. So let's go to shape format, and also here where at size and properties, and let's put a 300 degrees. Okay, now it is pointed where we want, and now is question of formatting the animation. We already have the animation, but now we don't want 360 degrees, we want just 60 degrees, and these should last for 10 seconds. So effect options, instead of 360, let's keep just 60 and then hit the enter, and the timing is going to be, we don't have 10 seconds here, don't worry, we will put it here instead of 5, let's put 10. Great. And now as you can see, we have the arrow spinning just with 60 degrees and just from here to here in 10 seconds perfectly. Now let's move these and make sure that the appropriate animation is done also for them. So we want them more or less to be positioned here. We can apply again the alignment, but since now I've applied the center is not 100% as I want, so we can move them a little bit like this. Okay, now it's perfect. Let's eliminate the outline, and let's make sure that we will format it as the slide background. Great. The only thing now is to put it behind, so send to back. Great. Logically, we will then have to make sure that these won't be visible, so that's why another situation where we need to hide objects in PowerPoint. But now let's create the starting from here. That's perfect. Now let's apply the animation. In this case, we want to put the motion paths. Great, but this is not where we want to end the animation. So let's hit the shift, because we want to make it a perfect direction here, and more or less it's here. Now let's increase the zoom again and make sure we will position perfectly. Now it's perfect. Great. And these should last also 10 seconds, and we will put it with previous and effect options, we don't want a smooth start or a smooth end. And again, we don't have the 10 seconds options, but we have created now. And let's see it in full mode. This is our countdown, and it works very, very good. As I was saying earlier, this is a second reason for which we need to hide objects, because we don't want these and these to be visible. So this part of the motion and this part of the motion should be hidden too. To create the masks, we're gonna insert another type of shapes, and yeah, this is funny. What we can see a part of the stars at the midnight. If there are no clouds, logically we can also see the moon. So that's why we're gonna insert, yes, logically we're gonna insert the moon, and we're gonna use it to create part of our masks. So is something like this. This should be applied here, and let's eliminate the outline, and this is going to be applied here. Logically we will put it with the slide fill, and then some additional rectangles will end up our mask, something like this. It depends on the situation. Great. Now we just have to make sure that they will be positioned so that no visible part of the animation except what we want will be in place. So let's create a bigger zoom, otherwise it's difficult to properly arrange these. Okay, so it's up to you to make sure that everything fits, and you don't hide something that is not necessary. So more or less for these is I guess perfect. Now let's fill it in the right way. Format shape, slide background fill, and this again, slide background fill. Now as you can see, there is a little bit of part that is missing here, so we can now finally adjust it. And I think now it's pretty much okay here. We have to do the same thing below. So it's more or less something like this. Now let's put the appropriate fill, and we again should move a little bit the things. That's pretty much okay. Let's see one more time in a full presentation. At the top is perfect. Well, at the top, but here at the bottom it's still not perfect. We need to make the last adjustment. More or less something like this. Still is not perfect because we don't want to cut from our shape. Now let's see. It's nearly invisible, or it will just make the impression that is a star shining. So yeah, you can put one last adjustment, something like this, and now it should be 100% perfect. As you can see, now we are 100% satisfied. That's great. Now comes the sweetest part, where we have to create the fireworks. But because I really want to show my appreciation for you, and because we're talking about the night between the years, I really want to use as fireworks the hearts. You can pretty much use whatever type of shape you want, is 100% up to you, but in my case I really want to use the hearts, and I will make them one by one. That's perfect, and no outline, and let's create 6 of them. One more. Now let's apply the colors. I want red, I want green and orange. Let's put here a blue, a yellow, and finally a purple. That's great. Now we have to create only once the animation for one heart, and then we will use the animation painter for all the others, and then we will just have to modify the path. But since we're gonna need a duplicate of these hearts for the next steps in order to make sure that the animations will work perfectly, I'm gonna create right now a duplicate, and I'm gonna position them here and here just for the moment. Okay, now our initial movement should be from here, and from here, and then don't worry, we're gonna hide them behind our dial. Great. So we want to apply the animation for this heart, and logically is going to be a motion path animation, and we want a custom path. And now you can exercise your mind and do whatever type of path you want. I will do something like this, double click to end it. Perfect. And as I was saying, now we can really put the same type of animation for all the others with the animation painter. So we have selected already the heart. Now double click here and then apply here, then apply here, then apply here, here, and finally here, and click here to finish with the animation painter. Logically, this is not the path that we want for all the other hearts, but we can now just finally arrange their path, and everything will be as we want. So this is for the orange, more or less. Instead of orange is like a brown, but you can adjust the color. Okay, now for the green one, starting and finishing like this. For the purple, this is for the purple, and this is the end. So let's move it here. For the yellow is this one, and for the blue one is this one, but we don't want it like this. So let's click again, and more or less here. That's perfect. Now let's set up the animations in the right way. So all of these we want to happen after the countdown. So it's going to be after the previous, and then for all the others with previous. And this is a 2 seconds. That's perfect. We don't need other setup for the hearts. Now finally we are at step number 10, where we have to apply the animations, and we have to make sure that we will create the firework effects. So how we can do that? Well, we have to think from this moment where they will reach this point, everything will end up here, but we don't want these to happen just once. We want to happen more, and more or less I want it to happen 10 times. So that's why all these animations will happen, and not with smooth start and smooth end, will happen for 2 seconds, but will repeat 10 times. Again, we don't have it here, but we will create it. Okay, so this is a 10-time repetition. That's perfect. When they will come here, you won't notice, but they will actually disappear, and they will be replaced by these hertz, and they will have to appear. So that's why we'll have to position them more or less in the same position with the others. But don't worry, they don't have to be 100% in the same position. And after that, we have to apply the animation for these 6, meaning they have to appear, and they will have again to grow, and after that they will have to explode. So practically we need to apply 3 types of different animations. It's an entrance, appear, it's then an emphasis, meaning grow, and then an exit animation, they will blow up. So let's position them. Firstly, let's move them like this, and then we can fine-tuning the positions of the initial animations. So let me increase the zoom now. You can now click here, and you can see this is almost perfect positioned. I don't have to make any adjustment here. Maybe I want to have a small adjustment, something like that. Here, this should be adjusted, something like this. Perfect. Here, a small adjustment too, something like this. Here it's a perfect one, and here for the blue, it's something like this. Great, this is done. Let's go on now. So let's select these. We don't need to reselect these because we already applied it 10 times. So now let's select our new hertz, and we'll have to make sure that they will appear, and these will happen with previous. That's great. And then we'll have to make sure that even if they are with the previous, still we need 2 seconds for the initial hearts to reach their destination from behind of the dial to this point. So that's why all of them will have a delay of 2 seconds. That's perfect. And now, since all of them are selected, let's add the second animation. Don't do it from here because we'll eliminate the initial one. Just add from here and grow, shrink. That's perfect. Again, they will have to happen with previous. They already have the delay of 2 minutes. And this time, let's set up the options. I don't want just 150%. I want 250%. Enter. And then I want to have a repetition of 10 times. And now it's perfect. And finally, the blowing up effect, they are all selected. And now let's add the exiting animation. Click here and select dissolve out. That's perfect. And then again, they will have to happen with previous. They already have the delay of 2 seconds, which is great, but now let's put also the duration of 2 seconds. And the final setting here is to make sure that we will also have a 10 times repetition. Okay, and Now let's select all the hearts and hide them behind our dial. Great. And now let's see what we have done. So the countdown has started, the last seconds of the year, and in a couple of seconds we will have the explosion. So happy new year. And now, as you can see, everything works fabulous. We have the fireworks just for you, my friends, as a super appreciation for all your support. That's great. Now, the last details that you can arrange here is to make sure that this Happy New Year will also get an animation, and then do the fireworks also for the Happy New Year. So for that, we're gonna have to repeat the steps that we have applied for the hertz. So these will get these type of animations for 2 seconds, and is going to be with previous, and logically we're gonna apply the repeat of 10 times. Great. And now for converting the Happy New Year into fireworks, let's duplicate these 2 more times. So this is one, but I don't want this type of animation for it. And one more time for further use. So for this one, we're gonna apply the motion path up. Great. If you want to put it just slightly above, don't worry, you can do it. That's great. And then these will have to come into place and will be more or less here. That's perfect. And this is also going to be with previous 2 seconds, and let's put it without smooth and start and end, and let's make it a 10 times repetition. That's great. And then these will have to appear with previous and the 2 seconds delay. Great. And then the second animation grow shrink. Great. Again with previous 2 seconds, and this time I don't want just 150, not 250. This time I want a 350. That's great. And also let's make sure that we'll have a 10 times repetition. That's great. And finally the exiting. Okay. And this will last for 2 seconds as well with previous, and let's make a repetition of 10 times. That's great. Before seeing everything on the full presentation mode, now we again have to hide the things, meaning these should be hidden below the main dial. But in that situation, let's don't forget that here and here we have the mask, and if I will move these right to the bottom, then in the full presentation mode these is going to be covered by the masks, and I don't want that. So in order to make these work nicely, you will have to go to the selection pane and make sure to put in the right position the things. So the masks here are rectangle 12 and moon 11. And then we have the freeform shape 3 is our dial, and rectangle 56 sorry, is the digital counter. So I want these two masks to be on top of the digital counter, but they have to be below the dial. So between these two I have to put these 2 masks. So it's one here and the other here, and then these should be below our dial but above these two masks. So this is rectangle 33, and rectangle 33 should be positioned here, and now everything should work properly. Let's double check. The final countdown, which is great. Finally, the new year is coming, and when 0 is in place, let's see. Now we have the animations, and as you can see, this is on top of the masks, which is fabulous. Everything works as planned. Yes, indeed, great.
Now, my friends, I really hope that you have enjoyed a lot this animation, and I only want to say one more time, thank you so much for everything. Please visit my other videos, please hit the notification bell so that you will be notified when I'm posting something new, and from the bottom of my heart, my friends, Happy New Year and all the best for the new year.